From CBS 47 and Fox 30, it's time for This Week in Jax.
Welcome to This Week in the 904. I'm your host, Emily Turner. This is a community affairs show. We focus on politics, public policy, and all the issues that affect our local communities. And joining us today is State Representative Angie Nixon. Thanks for your time.
Hey, Emily. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're glad you're back. There's a lot to talk about.
There is indeed a lot to talk about.
Florida's been a busy state as of late. The most
hotbed.
That's right. The most recent bomb is the governor's announcement that vaccinations for children, school-age children, is no longer mandatory. What is your thought?
As a mom of 5 kids, 2 bio and 3 bonus, it is wild to me that they can think about eliminating the need for things like a measles vaccination, considering the fact that there has been an uptick in measles outbreaks. There has been an uptick of people dying due to the lack of vaccinations as it relates to measles. And I am just really concerned as a mom. And what about my rights as a mother to know and make sure that my child is safe from folks who do not have the vaccination for their kids? I'm really concerned about this. There have been 18 reported deaths of measles, and these were all preventable. And I think we are going to the worst part. We're returning to the worst parts of our history as a country right now.
Well, it's interesting because the pushback against vaccines isn't new. I've been tracking the data. It's a story we ran this week. And they've been falling. Vaccination rates in school-age children have been falling. It took a real tumble around COVID with the controversy around the COVID vaccine. Mm-hmm. The rest of the country has seemed to kind of correct that trend. Florida has not. Mm-hmm. And this is just the next step in falling vaccination rates. I mean, in your opinion, what's the worst case scenario here?
The worst case scenario is that we're going to see some children die. Some of our babies are going to die because of a governor and a surgeon general who's doing the governor's bidding to simply just score cheap political points for a base of people who are anti-vaccinations. And look, at the end of the day, if you are opposed to vaccinations because of your religion, or if you are immunocompromised and can't take them, I totally understand that. But this has been proven to help stop deaths, particularly in our kids, things like the measles. And wild is all I can say. It's
interesting because part of what the governor is saying is that we are putting the choice to vaccinate your children back in the parents' hands, that this is about parental choice.
What about my choice as a parent to want to have my children around other children who are vaccinated to make sure that my child is safe? I just don't understand.
And it puts teachers in a tough spot too.
It definitely puts teachers in a tough spot. And some teachers may not want to teach because of that. And look, the reality of it is this is only going to force some teachers to leave, to retire from that field. And we already have a teacher shortage as it is. The fact that we have vacancies for core courses, it's only going to get worse. And that's really going to impact low-income students, students of color who are really at public schools. And when it comes to vaccinations and private schools, like a private school can make it mandatory because they can put forth whatever types of rules they want in place for children to attend those schools. But when it comes to public schools, God be with us.
It's interesting, I didn't think about the private versus public element, but it'll be interesting to see, because there's no timeline on when this will get rolled out yet. But it will be interesting to see if and when private schools choose to do that. That'll be really telling.
And I just read an article a few weeks ago or so about the bubonic plague, like
back to the Middle Ages.
Right, and I'm just like, wait a minute, now we're rolling back. the vaccination requirements, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Let's hope we don't regress back to non-flushing toilets, et cetera. That would be a real dark age.
Listen.
It's interesting, too, because we've already seen the effects of this with measles outbreaks in places like Texas. Mm-hmm. And I just think, oh, golly, what happens when the first person with measles goes to Disney World?
That part.
And is Florida's healthcare system prepared to handle something like a measles outbreak like we've seen other places?
No, of course not. Florida's healthcare system is definitely not prepared. We definitely have the federal government cutting funding to our states, and we definitely have the state of Florida, Ron DeSantis, vetoing appropriations to ensure that our safety net hospitals are fully funded. And no, we are not prepared for that. Our access to healthcare, quality healthcare, is really going down the drain, and it's very unfortunate. It's something that we even see locally here with the mayor of Jacksonville trying to ensure that she provides some funding to ensure that those safety net hospitals are still in existence and still able to handle the amount of people that actually don't have insurance, so they use emergency rooms to be their primary care.
Yeah.
And so this is just a bad cycle that we need to try to address, but we unfortunately have some Republicans on the city council grandstanding and trying to do the opposite.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of what it seems is happening federally and at the state level has made its way to local government with regards to rhetoric and the issues that they're choosing to focus on. To your point, one of the issues that was cut in the city budget, it was ultimately put back in, was the telehealth program that the data shows saved a stress on emergency rooms.
Right. And why was that even an issue? At the end of the day, we have some Republicans, and not all Republicans, but some Republicans on the city council are attempting to make our mayor look bad simply because she has a D by her name. D not standing for Deegan, but D standing for Democrat. And that's wrong. Like, we should not be making Jacksonville, Tallahassee, or DC right now. There was a time where we could be friendly and work across the aisles here locally, but now it's the same old rhetoric, and it has to stop, because at the end of the day, it's only going to hurt our residents here in Duval County. And I mean, I'm really disgusted about the way that they have been handling things, the way that they state that these services, it's not the government's job to help provide some of these services. There's a failure right now in our economy. There's a sharp failure, and if you don't want to step in to address things like homelessness or things like access to affordable health care, what does that say about us as people, right? And I am all for all of us being able to pay $1 a month per person to ensure that we have these things that we need. Imagine if we were able to get folks off the streets. That would actually help lessen the stress on emergency rooms. Imagine if we could ensure that people had access to quality health care that could also help with public safety. And so it's a cyclical thing. And to think that some people are saying we should not use government funds for that, I don't understand. Then what should we use them for?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's an interesting question, and clearly what's playing out in City Hall with the budget and on the state level, which we're going to get to more of that in just a minute. Please stick with us. We'll be right back after the break.
From CBS 47 and Fox 30, you're watching This Week in the 904.
Welcome back to This Week in the 904. I'm your host, Emily Turner. Our guest is State Representative Angie Nixon. We were talking about all the things that are happening that seem to trickle down to the local level. One of the big moves by the governor has been deportation. Specifically, we saw Alligator Alacatraz, then that was dead in the water after a bunch of money was spent. They've now moved all of their focus to Baker County and the Correctional Institute there. They're calling it Deportation Depot. I assume this is something you are not a fan of.
So first of all, I believe that our budget is a sign of our values, and the fact that, where's the camera? The fact that Ron DeSantis spent over $250 million of your taxpayer dollars to give to his campaign donors and his friends, and Trump's campaign donors and his friends in no bid contracts. And they knew that that facility down in the Everglades was going to get shut down. Meanwhile, he's vetoing appropriations to help with our hurricane readiness and our infrastructure as it relates to ensuring that we have adequate drainage and sewage and things like that. Just only illustrates that they care about pandering and they don't actually care about families here in the state of Florida. I am appalled, downright pissed off that they decided to use that money, but then they want to turn around and say, oh no, it's a problem for us. I heard Lenny Curry, it's a problem for us to be using government funding for social services, but you want to make sure your friends get rich. They don't want to fix your sidewalks. The Republicans here in the city of Jacksonville don't want to fix your sidewalks, but they are okay with greasing the palms of their friends. Meanwhile, they're okay with people being unhoused, not just being in downtown Jacksonville now, but now going about into different sides of the community, different sides of the city. Like, they don't want to address that issue, right? Unless it makes them money, probably. And so, like, we should be pissed off about it, and I'm very upset because people do not trust elected officials. And I see why when Ron DeSantis and Kevin Carrico get on TV and just grandstand, when they know that we have the means to right these wrongs and to address these problems. And for them to just continually attack Mayor Deegan when she's only putting forth a budget that many in our city ask for. Folks are tired of people folks are upset about the fact that they see people panhandling, right? So, like, she put forth policy to address that, right? A budget to address that. They are upset that they don't have access to quality health care. Do you know that there are parents that call me and they have to figure out whether or not they put food on the table or take their child to the emergency room because they can't afford it, right? Like, and we have the means to address this issue, and you have your legislators in the state of Florida and here in the city of Jacksonville, they don't want to address that. I don't understand. And I'm tired, frankly. The rest of the state, the city, we're tired, and we gotta stop, dividing our communities and really working to address the fact that people can't afford to live here anymore. That's what we should be working to address.
It's interesting because I've had you this week and then Lenny Curry last week, and both of you have the nut of the argument is affordability, and that people are struggling to make ends meet, but you're coming at it from very different angles. Is there some middle ground? I mean, their argument is, this is fiscal conservatism, and reducing people's taxes is the only lever.
How is it fiscally conservative to give your friends over $240 million, but we're not even prepared for some of our communities to withstand hurricanes? How many times does it flood in Riverside, the West Side, certain parts of the North Side, San Marco? People should be pissed about that, right? But instead, the folks who are in power, those Republicans in Tallahassee and those Republicans here in on Jacksonville City Council, they would rather pay $240 million on a raggedy tent city that they know is going to get shut down, right? To kidnap many of your neighbors who are actually working on construction sites, who are actually working in the agricultural fields, who are actually working in Springfield, starting their own businesses, because let's be clear, there was a woman in Springfield who had paperwork waiting on amnesty, was kidnapped and sent to a facility. Meanwhile, that is not putting food on your table. Meanwhile, that is not lowering the price of gas to get to and from work or to take your kids to and from school. But like they're pandering and saying they don't have enough money. They do have enough money. They're just giving it to their friends and letting us working class individuals suffer in the meantime.
Well, I think it's clear. We know where you stand. You stand on that. We've got plenty more to talk about, and we'll get to those topics in just a minute. We'll be right back.
From CBS 47 and Fox 30, you're watching This Week in the 904.
Welcome back to a fiery session of This Week in the 904. Our guest is Angie Nixon, state representative. Lots of opinions, but that's great. That's what the show is for. You were talking, I mean, it's clear your frustration with the governor's office and the supermajority locally in city council. Let's start with the governor's office because DeSantis is termed out. There is a relatively clear front runner on the GOP side this early in the game. But what is your thought on who the Democratic candidates are, should be, and who you would support?
I mean, maybe it's someone coming out of Jacksonville. We never know.
Could it be you?
I mean, I don't know. Could it? Is that what the people want? Do they want State Representative Angie Nixon to run for Florida governor? We shall see.
Oh, cryptic. You heard it here first, folks. Love to be on the leading edge of all of that. Well, I mean, I guess we'll see. If that were the case, then, I mean, when it comes to Tallahassee, regardless if it's you, if it's Jolly, if it's somebody else, if a Democrat gets that seat, they're going to be fighting against a supermajority of Republicans.
Yeah.
So how does that play out?
Yeah, so I think it's time we really start electing folks who care about the community and really want to address issues of the working class. And it's going to be tough if a Democrat wins, if and when a Democrat wins, or an MPA. Look, at the end of the day, I don't actually care what party you come from. I just want you to make sure that you're working for the people. Do I think that it's going to be Byron Donalds? Is he going to work for the people? I would say no. Do I think it's Casey DeSantis? I believe they took $10 million of taxpayer dollars to go to their nonprofit when it was, again, taxpayer dollars and was supposed to be used for healthcare. And so, we just need to make sure that we have someone who's accessible, someone who's not going to demonize communities, and someone who is actually going to work to address the issues that we care about, which are making sure we have access to quality education, making sure we have access to quality health care, making sure that our infrastructure is built out, is fixed, making sure we don't use our emergency management dollars to stand up tent cities and grease the palms of our friends. And so I am looking forward to how the field shakes out so that I can make a decision on who I will support and try to get other folks to support them as well. But do I see that person right now? I am not sure. So we're just gonna have to wait and see.
When it comes to, you talk about emergency management dollars, I mean, is that money what are the needs in Jacksonville? Because here we are right in the middle of hurricane season. Where could that money, or would you see that money should be going?
Yeah, I think it would go towards making sure that our drainage is better and hardening some of the electrical things that need to be hardened.
Oh man, the last hurricane, I don't remember the number JEA sent us, but all of the transformers, it was like fireworks. You could see the green transformers exploding in the storm.
Exactly, so it would be going towards those type of things. And just ensuring that we also are prepared as it relates to like food and that type of stuff, because people's power is gonna go out, right? Like regardless, and just making sure that we are able to help offset and supplement some folks if their food goes bad and that type of stuff. But definitely when it comes to like drainage and hardening and those type of things, that's what that money could be used for.
Yeah, we did a story a couple weeks ago, I think, on San Marco and how
It's just a slight rain and it floods. The same way is in Riverside as well as like the Edgewood Avenue area. And I've been talking to FDOT to see what types of things that we can do to better the drainage in that area. Like people spend their hard-earned money on their cars, on their homes, and so they shouldn't have to worry about it being flooded simply because someone wants to play politics with their dollars and wants to veto appropriations to address those issues.
Well, while we're on the topic of FDOT and politics,
the nice little segue.
They keep me here for a reason. Rainbow sidewalks, painted sidewalks, street art, erased. Mm-hmm. And many of those intersections we have in Jacksonville. What is your thought?
I think it's dumb that they're erasing them. And as a matter of fact, I think that them painting the sidewalks in bright and cheery and festive and supportive colors causes people to stop.
Well, there was a Bloomberg study that shows they actually slow down at those intersections.
Exactly, because it catches your eye. And I mean, how is that putting food on your table? Did that bring the cost of your property insurance down with them removing those paintings?
Well,
and
no,
that
if
color?
anything, it's local money that has to be spent to erase them.
Exactly. That local money could have helped how many people who are on the corners asking for food and shelter, right? And so, again, the way we spend our money is a reflection of our values, and clearly those folks in power, some of these Republicans, they don't care about people, and it's evident by the lack of their investment into people.
Well, Angie Nixon, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. All of your opinions. This is great. It makes for good TV, but also important topics to discuss. And thank you for joining us this Sunday on This Week in the 904. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks for watching This Week in the 904.